We're back with Alden Chodash of AldenBoxing.com. This past Saturday, Alden in Germany, Vladimir Klitschko stops Tony Thompson. To me, it was not a good performance by Klitschko, and he seems vulnerable to some of the better skilled heavyweights in the division. Do you agree?
Well, really, we keep saying that after each performance, and he always finds a way to win. Thompson is not one of the better schooled heavyweights in the world right now. He's just the kind of he's physically capable of giving Vladimir Klitschko good work. He's strong enough physically to stand up to a lot of the punches that Klitschko throws before he was eventually worn out and stopped by a big right hand. And he made Klitschko move and work hard. That's something that we haven't seen, I don't think we've ever seen in the Klitschko comeback since his stoppage loss to Lamont Brewster, in which he overworked himself and wore himself out. In this fight, he worked hard and came out as a winner. He didn't wear himself out. He showed some signs of fatigue, but he maintained a good, solid pace, and it was impressive the way he was able to get Thompson out in the late rounds.
David Haye is boasting that he'll knock out Vladimir Klitschko in 3 rounds. I agree with him. Do you?
No, I don't think. Well, it could be up for debate. David Haye's a big puncher, but is he only a big puncher at cruiserweight? It's difficult to knock out the almost all your opponents in the cruiserweight division and then go up and fight the biggest, strongest heavyweight in the world, Vladimir Klitschko, and knock him out in 3 rounds as well. I'd like to see him test his power against some other heavyweights, not as big as Klitschko immediately. That'd be an interesting matchup because Haye not only is a good puncher and probably could have the power to worry Klitschko, but he's a good boxer all around, and I think that is more vital in beating Klitschko if that fight ever comes off than his punching power.
Right. What I'm really saying is I think a guy that can punch from both sides and can move a little bit and is younger will beat Klitschko in this at this stage of his career. Do you agree?
There's only one question about that matchup: is he big enough to apply his boxing skills to Klitschko?
What about any other? What about any other heavyweight that kind of fits that description? Maybe even a
Sam Peter.
Well, how about Alex Povetkin?
Alex Povetkin is not a big puncher. We saw that against Eddie Chambers. He's a solid guy. He has a strong work rate, and he could fight for all 12 rounds. He's not too spectacular, but his best aspect is his conditioning and his resolute approach in which he can maintain for 12 rounds.
Okay, so by and large, you were okay with the Klitschko performance?
Yeah, it was not as unimpressive as recent performances, most notably the terrible performance against Sultan Ibragimov. He fought a guy that made him work, and he prevailed, so that's good enough for me.
Okay. This coming week, it's James Toney, Hasim Rahman on Fox Wednesday. Why should we watch this fight?
I don't know. I don't know why anybody should watch this fight. If these guys are trying to sell themselves out by making excuses how they're going to be in better shape for this fight, don't listen to it. They betrayed us before. There really is no reason to watch this fight. It's totally meaningless. And plus, their first bout wasn't too impressive either. And both guys are not even the fighters they were in their first fight. So, yeah, there is no reason for watching this fight, and I don't think I'll be watching it.
Which is saying a lot since James Toney is fighting.
Yeah.
Wednesday, ESPN, Delvi Rodriguez versus Oscar Diaz in a welterweight matchup. What do you think will happen here?
It's a good matchup. Oscar Diaz is not a spectacular fighter, not a great puncher, but he knows how to fight. He can fight for 10, 12 rounds at a solid pace, and he has decent boxing skills. Delvin Rodriguez is not very durable, as Jesse Feliciano exposed when they fought. But he's different than Oscar Diaz. He's not a complete fighter, but he's a good puncher. It's debatable whether he could, with his one spectacular aspect, his punching power, can beat Oscar Diaz, who's a better all-around fighter, not a great fighter. Probably Diaz should win the fight. He's more complete. But I can't see him stopping Delvin Rodriguez as Jesse Feliciano did. It's just not in Diaz's nature.
Okay, this Friday scheduled on ESPN is Yuriorkis Gamboa. Seems like he's fighting his first left-handed opponent as a pro. when he takes on 36-year-old Jose Rojas. Should Rojas give Gamboa any trouble at all?
Yeah, he has experience in title fights. He's fought Christian a couple times. He's he lost close decisions in title fights. He's had about 4 title fights. He's experienced at that level and all around an experienced fighter. So another interesting opponent for Yuriorkis Gamboa, but probably not an opponent that can beat him.
Okay, there's rumblings that Paul Williams is actually going to go up to middleweight to fight Kelly Pavlik. Why do you think he should do that?
Well, it's not something to laugh about. He's physically capable, his stature, to give middleweights trouble. He's may not have the drastic height advantage over the majority of middleweights, but he would still be a tall middleweight. And he's a pretty good puncher, as he showed against Carlos Quintana, but his work rate, his hand speed, and his height would give middleweights trouble. It would be an interesting matchup, but I'd like to see him face welterweights because that division is challenging enough and lucrative enough for Paul Williams to make a name, to continue making a name for himself and make money in that division. And I think he would hold a bigger advantage over welterweights than middleweights.
So you're saying that's a dangerous fight for Pavlik?
Yeah, it could be an interesting fight. It'd definitely be more interesting than Gary Lockett. And Paul Williams can give him some problems. As I said, he would still be tall for a middleweight, and he sets a good pace. But I still like to see him stay at welterweight. There's plenty of challenges at welterweight, and I think he'd be an all-around better fighter at welterweight. He's just too big for the majority of that division, and of course he throws too much punches. Okay,
we'll be discussing more of this fight on next week's show, but just a little teaser. I know you like Cotto over Margarito, but don't you think Margarito is just too big and strong for Cotto?
Too big? He's faced junior middleweights. He's strong enough to even be a threat in the middleweight division. He's that strong, but he's a reckless fighter, though. Cotto has the boxing skills to keep Margarito at long range. Margarito he's a good volume fighter. He throws a lot of punches in addition to having such solid hands to hurt opponents, but he's got to find his range. It's hard to fight at that kind of pace if you're not hitting anything. Not saying Cotto's a defensive genius in the ring, but he has good all-around defensive boxing skills, offensive boxing skills. He will face some trouble. This probably can be the toughest fight of his career, but I think he will eke out a win because he is slightly the all-around better fighter.
Okay, great. And thanks, Alden, for talking to us. Remember to check out aldenboxing.com and fightfan.com for more information. Bye-bye.